Oh,
just
nice.
when the school holidays start.
Alrighty, we are live on our Facebook page. Steven is back to talk about another talking point episode. But
Hello,
he was just
hello.
saying, that he's going to explore another VTL to Sydney.
Oh, you let the cat out of the bag. It's a secret.
Oh,
No, I'm
was
kidding.
that a secret?
It's, it's not a secret. It's not a secret. Working on another story to check out the vaccinated travel lane, but this time with a family. So I'm gonna
Nice.
join a family for their holiday.
I'm sure the family is thrilled, absolutely thrilled.
Right. They haven't met me yet. They might like, okay.
Yeah. But actually, I speaking of the VTL to Australia, on social media, I've seen quite a few people on that VTL already enjoying their holidays over in Sydney. Okay, we are going on air right now. Hold on, give me a sec. Color me bad, all for one, all for love, all for one. Look, Steve. It's all
Same,
for
same, but
love right
different.
here on Gold 905. Sounds good, feels good. It's Catherine here with you, keeping you company all the way till 8 p.m. We have Steven Chia joining us on the show today, and he's basically here ahead of tonight's talking point episode, where he's going to explore exactly how far parents will go for primary one school registration. And I'm sure we've all heard the different stories about how, parents go the extra mile, not even mile, a few thousand miles probably for the kids, just so they can get into a school that they want their children to go to. Anyway, we're live on Facebook, so it's time for you to join us on.
Watch us live on our Facebook page at facebook.com/gold905. Sounds good. Feels good.
That's right, we're live on our Facebook page, and Stephen is here. Hello, Stephen. How are you doing?
Hi. I'm good. Thank you. Thanks for having me. Glad to be back here.
Yeah. Of course, you're welcome anytime. And I'm a bit worried about today's topic because it gets a lot of parents riled up. It gets a lot of
Hmm.
people riled up because it's a hotly debated topic, right? Primary one school registration. Okay, so I'm gonna start with something that I've heard in this interview. I've heard that people start their process of primary one school registration 3 or 4 years before their kid actually reaches the age of primary one. Is that true?
Wait, you mean they don't start once the kids are born? What's going
Oh
on?
my goodness. 7 years in advance. No, hey, but is
No,
do
no.
people do that?
Well,
No,
yeah,
right?
well, yes, and no, yes and no, because as any parent who's gonna have kids will start thinking about primary school, and one of the factors that really does sort of affect your chances of getting into the school of your choice is where you live. So
Right.
actually, yeah, you kind of do want to plan ahead because if you're gonna buy a flat, you might think, is it what the schools around this area? I mean, even before the kids come, you might consider that if you're planning to have kids, right? Because otherwise, having to move later on to find a place is a hassle as well. So that being said, you can start as soon as you have kids, or as soon as you decide you want to have kids, and to start looking ahead and planning for it because there are quite a few steps involved, and I think that's what we try to do in the show that airs tonight. We try and tell people what are the steps involved, what are some of the things that are going on that you may not be aware of. And I mean, I know you don't have kids, and
No.
I well, not that you know of, right? Yeah. So
But did you have to go through such a crazy process when your
yeah,
kids
yeah.
went to primary one?
I've been there, done that, and I'm glad it's over. But the stress of registering for your kid in primary one and getting them into a school of your choice is challenging because there's so many hurdles and there's so many different levels. Like some people get to go in at the phase 2A, phase 2B. Different phases give priority to different groups of people. And that's the main question we asked. How can we level the playing field more to make it more accessible to more Singaporeans across the board, or more people living in Singapore across the board? And that is a real challenge because I don't think any country has got it right. So there are pros and cons to every system that does exist. But that's really what we try and look at in the show tonight. And so if you have young kids and you haven't really thought about the process, you can watch the show. It'll give you some insight. If you've been there, done that with primary school kids as well, you can watch it to just go like, whew, I'm so glad I'm not doing it anymore.
Yeah, I know, right? And also, I wanted to ask you about, there have been some changes to this primary one school registration. Now,
Mhm.
do these changes make it easier or harder for parents to get their kids into the schools of their choice?
Well, depends on where you're coming from. So many people want to send their kids to their alumni, the school that you went to as a child yourself. And what the changes are kicking in from next year is that the number of spots in the alumni section have lessened. They've taken away some seats that were given to that phase 2A, and brought it down to phase 2C. So it basically means those who are alumni have a slightly weaker chance of getting their kid into the school, because in the past, if you were an alumni, you kind of were in the first phase is basically for siblings. If you have a brother or sister in the school, you get in automatically, and then the
Yeah.
next phase comes the alumni. So it was almost guaranteed that your kids would get into school if you were at that phase. But with these changes, that is no longer a sure thing.
Right. Okay. It is such a complicated process. And I was actually speaking to a colleague before she left the studio. She does the show, Suen. She does the show before me. And she was telling me about volunteering 40 over hours a month between husband and wife if they want to get their kid into a school of their choice. Anyways, we're going to tackle that when we come back. But for now, we're going to head on back to the music. If you haven't already join us on our Facebook page, facebook.com/gold905.
Stay tuned to Gold.
Have you heard that
Yes.
volunteering 40 over hours?
Yeah,
That's
voluntary, but not in a month. I think that's in a year. I think
Oh, is it not in a
so.
month? Oh, it's in a
Yeah,
year,
it's
is
a
it?
well, that's
Okay.
almost like a full-time job, right? If you, you
Right.
know, so
Yeah.
but
Okay.
yeah, volunteering, and doing it, yeah, moving, volunteering. Those are the key ways that people try and get a bit of preference.
I've heard quite a few of it. Okay, I've heard of volunteering parents. I've heard of parents who move to get their kids into a particular school. What was it like for you though? Did you go to any of these sort of lengths, or did you
Yeah,
plan it all way in advance?
no, I didn't plan it all way in advance. So I mean, but the kids basically just went to my alumni because I was in the. This has happened many years ago, so I had that advantage in that sense, and
Right,
the kids got in
right.
quite easily. So I didn't have to deal with the stresses of, moving and
Ah.
stuff like that. Yeah. Because,
Okay,
yeah, it's.
so I've got a question. Say you're getting
Mhm,
in on the grounds of alumni and that sort
mhm.
of thing. Does location still matter in that aspect?
Well, yes and no. So let's say they have let's say they have 20 spots for alumni, and there are 25 kids applying. So to make it fair, then they will ballot
Right.
for the 20 spots, right? But they will first go by proximity. So those that live within the 1 to 2 kilometer radius will then get a chance to ballot. If you don't even live within that radius, then I think you wait. Am I getting this right? Yeah, but so don't take my word on that. It's been a few years since I've done this, but
Yeah,
essentially the
yeah.
proximity does help filter out. So if you're not living within that school, that zone, you don't even get to be in the pool,
Wow.
to be balloted for.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we have a few people joining us on our Facebook Live. Esther did confirm that it's 40 hours a year.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's not a month lah. Okay, it doesn't sound as bad then, 40 hours a year. And we have Madam Zana who's joining us, and she says her granddaughter will be heading to primary one next year,
Hey,
which means the, school registration process is over
all
for
done.
her. All
Yeah,
done,
all
right? All
done.
done and
So
dusted.
you're happy, right,
She's
Madam Zana?
she's happy. She's definitely over the moon. Yeah. So, what would you say? When do you start thinking or planning for your child's primary one registration? Because primary one is when they turn 7, the year they turn 7.
Yearly 10
When?
So you register the year they are 6, the year
Yeah,
before.
but when do you actually start thinking about it and
Yeah.
pulling all the strings? Whether it's volunteering or like
So you got to start thinking, like I would think, years before, because in order to volunteer, and that's 40 hours in a year, so that means to be ready to register them in when they're 6 years old, you got to volunteer when they're 5 years old, right? So that you can
Mm.
have that that quota fulfilled before you
Right,
even
right.
register.
So is
Yeah,
there
and
an
then
application process for volunteers that you have to start doing that when they're 4 years old instead
well,
of,
and then I was going to say exactly. In the some schools have a waiting list of volunteers, so you got to get in and put your name down
Wow. Oh my
and wait for your
goodness.
chance to be the
Wow.
lollipop lady holding the stop and go sign at the pedestrian crossing.
Yeah, helping the kids at the pedestrian crossing. All right, we're going back on air in about 45 seconds. So l- I don't know. I don't even know what to tackle next because there's so many. It's like an octopus, right? Primary one school registration. It's like there's so many different things going on. But can we talk about, parents that you know of that have gone above and beyond to get their kids
Yeah,
into
yeah,
school? Let's talk
yeah. I'll
about
give you
that.
some
Yeah.
examples. Can do.
Okay. Okay, great. We've got about 15 seconds. All right. I can't care about anything but the Cardigans, Loveful, right here on Gold 905. Sounds good, feels good. We're back with Steven Chia, who is helping us understand the very, very complicated process of primary one school registration. This is all happening ahead of his Talking Point episode, where, that's happening tonight, by the way, on Channel 5 at 9:30 p.m., where they're going to tackle this hotly debated topic of P1 school registration. And just now, when we were off air and we were still on our Facebook Live, oh, by the way, if you haven't joined us, do join us, facebook.com/goal905. I was asking him if he knows of, parents who go above and beyond to get their kids into the schools that they want them to go to. Stephen, do you have
Yeah.
examples?
Oh, I mean, if you ask any parent out there, they have heard stories, so many stories from different people. But in the show, we actually do interview one family, one couple with two young kids, who essentially ended up spending over $20,000 just to get their kids or their son into the school, his alumni. So interesting story, and I won't give away all the details, but I mean, it's not he didn't pay the school in any way. Everything he did was totally legal, but they had to, in a nutshell, they had invested some money to rent a property, to
Right.
rent a property near the school, but things didn't quite pan out as they would imagine, and therefore it was money that ended up, kind of going down the drain, as in literally spent and never recovered. So um, it's hard to say, but I think there are quite a lot of costs involved, and I think that's the main thing we tackle on the show tonight, is to really ask, is there another way? Are there other alternatives that make it more fair? Because not many people can afford to spend $20,000 just to get their kid into
Yeah.
school.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this includes, paying for it, like when my kids were going to school, I could join the alumni association. That was in the hundreds of dollars as well. So all the little things do add up, and I think that's what is of concern to many parents as well, especially now new young parents. They'll be like, wow, all this money that I have to spend, and then if I have to buy my flat and then buy another one near the school, what's going on?
Yeah, yeah. And I was reading the synopsis of the show, and it basically said that 80% of parents will do something to help their kids get into, the primary school of their
Yeah,
choice.
and I think that's a fairly conservative estimate. I mean, if you ask any parent, would do pretty much anything for their kids. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
I mean, but for some people, their hands are tied, right? Because
yeah.
if you require like $20,000 to just be within the proximity of the school, not a lot of people have, like you said, not a lot of
Mm.
people have that money to be able to do that.
So one of the things we also tackle that is interesting is I mean, property prices. So I think in Singapore,
Mm,
we love our property because it's such a small place. Certain areas the prices just skyrocket, and experts tell us that those near certain schools, their property prices do see an exponential increase as well, just because
mm.
they therefore meet that 1 to 2 kilometer zoning.
Yeah. So property prices go up around the popular schools, and I'm sure rental prices are very high as well in
Yep,
those
yep,
areas. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
So
Similarly, that would all.
So basically, okay, let's just say a pair, like mom and dad move to a location, and the
Mhm.
kid gets into the school of their choice. After that, are they allowed to move back to?
Well, you gotta
to
stay in the property you're renting for, I think, at least 2 years. Again, I gotta update my numbers, but yeah, generally
yeah.
you have to stay for a period of time, and then you can move out. So that's what many people
Ah.
do. They might keep their present home, rent another property for 2 years, and then once that is done, they can move on.
Yeah, you see, and that's just to get the school that you want. It
Yeah.
sounds a bit crazy. Like it definitely sounds like it's a lot of work. But yes, so what else can we expect from this primary one school registration episode tonight?
I think tonight's show is really to help, especially younger families, younger parents who will have kids entering primary school soon in the next few years, to get a grasp of some of the things that are going on there. Because you may hear a lot of things from your friends, you hear a lot of things going on online. I mean, the best thing to do is check on your own and do your own proper research. And of course, you can watch Talking Point tonight. We've kind of done a bit of that homework too.
Yeah,
So there are steps you can take to help your chances in that sense. But we
yeah,
also try and explore a few other options that experts tell us, some other alternative ideas that, if we embrace, would actually radically change the way we approach this kind of registration system. It might
right.
scare a few parents, so don't worry, that's not going to happen anytime soon. But just imagine if there were, if the zoning was much larger beyond the 1 to 2 kilometer radius. If it was just north, south, east, west. I mean, the kind of competition that would happen. So yeah, so essentially tonight we're just hoping to help people understand, be a bit more aware of what's happening, and then go about, start doing your research, start doing your homework, and get ready for P1 registration.
Yay, whoop-de-doo. And then 6 years later, you got the stress of PSLE as well.
All right, yeah,
So
let's take one at a time, one at a time.
yeah, definitely one at a time. And you know what? If you have a young kid and primary one registration is right around the corner within the next year or 2 or 3 years, we're
Yeah.
talking about 3 years before the kid goes to primary one. Definitely check out Talking Point, because there are things that you can do 3 years in advance before your child heads off to primary one. So catch Talking Point. They will explore P1 registration and how far parents will actually go. It's happening tonight on Channel 5 at 9:30 p.m. Or you can watch the episode online on CNA Video on Demand on MeWatch. Yeah, so you can definitely go check it out. But it's airing tonight at 9:30 p.m. And actually, you know what? That
Mhm.
bait that you dropped about the show, the parents that spend $20,000. That's gonna
Yeah.
make me watch the
Really?
episode tonight, because I really want to know like what happened. And $20,000 is a lot of money. So
Yeah. How they
yeah,
spent it.
I definitely want to see what happened there and
You
how
better start saving, Cat. The piggy bank, $2 a day. Cling, 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 cling. You've got
I
time.
know,
You've got time.
I know. Seven, the child's not here yet. Should I start planning now?
Hey,
It's
never too soon.
right? Start volunteering like right now, so I don't have to do the 40 hours a year. Anyway, thanks so much, Steven, for coming on the show. Once again,
Thank
don't forget to
you.
catch Talking Point. It's happening at 9:30 p.m. tonight on Channel 5. Alrighty,
All
done and
right. Thank you. Thank you.
dusted.
Thank
Thanks so
you.
much.
Yeah.
Thanks everyone for joining us. Lots of people are talking about their different experiences on the comments. But yeah,
Oh,
thanks so
yeah.
much,
Yeah.
guys.
Okay.
Till
Let me
the
go check
next
it out.
one.
Thanks,
Bye
guys. See you.
bye.
Bye.